Hi, my name is Mary Spender and welcome to Series 2, Episode 6 of Tuesday Talks. This series will consist of 10 interviews in total with some of my favourite musicians. You can watch the interview in full here on YouTube, but if you prefer just to listen, then you can download the podcast, which is available everywhere now. This week I chat to Rachel K. Collier, an incredible electronic music producer and performer from Wales. She put out her debut album towards the end of last year and uploads videos on her YouTube channel, which you should definitely check out. They're exploring her creative process and she shares her experiences as a live performer. Also, for anyone looking at getting into Ableton, check out her tutorials. She's a total pro. This whole series is brought to you by DistroKid, my favourite music distribution service, which gets your music into online stores and streaming platforms. And there is a link in the description for you to get 7% off your first year. I would love you to comment below and share your favourite moments of this conversation, basically between two friends, maybe leaving a timestamp or quote. But first, let's get into the show. Tuesday Talks. Can you share your musical timeline with me in terms of like how you started out, what you did at school, your favorite music teachers, all that sort of stuff, and like your whole like music history?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I guess I like to think I kind of started just singing, singing in choir in school, and I found it fun. But then there was a time, I think, in my dad's house, and it was super young, and I kind of developed a little fascination for his cassette player, right? Where I, worked out somehow that if I press record now, it's going to record me and I can sing, and then I can take the tape out, put it into another, change the tape over, and then I sort of learned, oh wow, I can like make layers of singing here, which is cool. And then alongside that, at the same time, I had like this really rubbish Yamaha DJX keyboard, and this is kind of like how I definitely first started getting into music, along with the tapes. I used to play like one note, Mary Babe, and then I'd like, with my other hand and two fingers, literally like an idiot, would realize, ooh, that E flat and the G. At the time I didn't know what the notes were called, but I realized, oh man, they sound nice together. And then so I spent like years of just playing around on this keyboard, and then I realized this cable that was lying around, which eventually would be an aux cable that fitted in that hole. I could record my keyboard onto the tape, and then I had these like little beats in the Yamaha DJX keyboard, right? And so my friends used to come round, and I'd play with my two fingers, press my beat on the keyboard, and sing them a song. And they all used to sit on my bed in the attic bedroom and just be like, woohoo! Like, go on, Rach, sing us another song. And maybe from when I was like 10 years old, I just started writing loads of these like rubbish songs with terrible lyrics. And if you listen back to, I mean, some of those tapes got destroyed now, but like listening back, I know it's a shame, but actually it's not a shame. It's good that they're never going to surface ever again. But you listen back to these vocals, and I don't know what my friends were thinking, because they were awful, right? But I do think that the years of recording myself and probably helped to train my ear. It probably helped for me to go, oh, well, that doesn't actually sound that nice, or, And so the years went by, and I just spent my whole teenage years basically in my attic bedroom, discovering more chords on the keyboard, not knowing what any of the notes were, but knowing what sounded good. But I knew there was more to it, I just thought, hang on a minute. And Swansea's like a really sort of, it's a seaside chill out town. It's sort of a bit dated in that respect. Like my school didn't have any computers. When I had to do my music compositions, I used to have to go to my male teacher's house after school and be there till like 10 o'clock. And my dad would be like, what the hell are you doing? So I knew there was more to it, like, than just this kind of whatever, tapes and like plugging in cables. And that's when I decided, oh, look, I think I would really like to carry on doing music because it's really fun. I'm going to go to music college. So I then decided, and I looked at loads of courses, and I liked singing, but I wouldn't call myself like a singer. I felt like I was more like a creative singer, and and it was hard because I wasn't really a pianist either. I wasn't really a singer, and it was like, which route do I go down? And I looked at composition things, and I was like, well, this isn't really me either. I can't even read music. I was trying to learn, but I was probably about 16 when I first started to try and read music. I'm still absolutely terrible at it. But then I found this course, a music tech course, which was like a creative music technology it was in Cardiff. So I went there basically and studied, creative music tech, which was probably, it was amazing actually. I got there and then straight away it was like, oh, computers, Apple. And they all like took the mick of me and basically said like, you're the only person ever who sent a tape. And I was like, well, what was I meant to do? I didn't have anything else. But yeah, I learned really quickly, obviously got on the computers. And then I was like, oh yeah, no, this makes sense. And then, so yeah, I spent in college then, I learned loads of stuff then, like obviously MIDI, recording, but we didn't really do much producing. It was kind of weird. I went there to like make tracks and, make beats and stuff. But the first year, all we did was experiment. It was like, make a song with no pitch or rhythm or time signature or melody. And it was a bit like, yeah. And I was
been
like,
there, done that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what the hell, man? This is not the right course. But now, obviously, years later, I'm like, oh, hang on. Now I kind of, in hindsight, see where all these like little inspirations and like opening your mind to like a sonic world could really feed maybe into myself now as a music producer. And so yeah, I had some fun anyway at college. And it was quite a wide, we learned loads of stuff, different microphones, recording, loads of different DAWs, did Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton, Digital Performer. We did them all really. But yeah, that's kind of where I really, kind of learned a lot more about myself. And then when I left college, I spent a bit of time, I thought, oh, right, because I like sort of dance music, right? So I thought, oh yeah, I want to write the songs over dance beats and that. And I kind of fortunately fell in just from going to a party, actually. I went to a party and ended up at an after party, and I ended up meeting a guy called Ben Jackson, who actually ended up becoming my first manager. And everything happened so fast. I told him, he was like, what do you do, love? And I was like, oh, I'm a songwriter, And I didn't really say at that time I was a producer, because I didn't really feel like that. I'd studied music tech, but I wouldn't have said like, oh yeah, not like now, where I'm like, no, I am a music producer now. But he, everything happened really fast. I started working with this guy, and he had another partner as well, who had a lot of experience in the industry. And before I knew it, I was flipping out in LA, Atlantic Studios, top lining, writing stuff for David Guetta. And, it was nuts actually. And I was super young and really actually not quite ready for that. I mean, I clearly didn't get a cut with David Guetta, otherwise I'd be the most minted person in the world. But it was, I did have some success, which was great, like some chart success and stuff. And one song I wrote and top lined was on a Grammy nominated record, so that was all really cool. But there was this kind of weird feeling in me that I was only given maybe like 5% of who I really am. So, and that's when I was like, I don't care if I suck, I don't want to work with you anymore. I really want to like produce my own music. And that's when I kind of dived into Ableton Live and just kind of took this path, maybe, what was it, like 5 years ago now, and just kind of went for it. And and it's been a bit bittersweet, because obviously my first tastes of the industry were Radio 1 A-list, things like that, without even having to try. And probably like now, obviously being a independent releasing artist, and like it's kind of, I maybe expected too much, but so it was a bit of like eating a bit of humble pie. Like, it's actually not really that easy to do that. And so you almost have to like go back a few steps. But you know what? I used to do these shows when I was doing in that kind of world, and they would pay you so much money to rock up to a nightclub and sing a song. So much money, more than I ever get paid for my shows now. But I wouldn't trade it, I wouldn't trade anything to go back to that place and not be the music producer and performer that I've kind of strived to become, So, so kind of that's the history, I guess.
There's so much there in terms of like, firstly, the limitations with the cassette player and like how that crafts you into someone who's imaginative and can use few tools, but still like just make something out of it and make something incredible. And then, yeah, the whole lesson with the music industry. I think it's the big illusion, isn't it, around the all that sort of stuff, and it does come easy to some people, and they kind of expect it to always be there, when actually it's impossible. But it's all down to contacts. So I think the whole network thing is also a good lesson in terms of like, it's who you know, not what you know, sadly, but that is the case.
Oh, that's 100% the case. Like, you've got to think how many cold calls all these people in the higher A&Rs and things in the industry get, then unless you like send in, obviously you hear these stories, don't you, of like artists send in like presents and things that they want them to listen to their music. It really is, unless you can wow them over like this, or just know someone who knows someone, then it is, it's a mad world. And I think, like you said, it's an illusion, unless you've been in it a little bit. I think the kind of illusion of, I want to be, I want to be a pop star or like an influencer and da-da-da. And then the reality is, well, you have to work your ass off. So,
and to be able to do it well, you have to be doing the thing that you are obsessed with. So if like you, it's the wrong avenue, you actually end up not working your ass off because it just doesn't feel right. And going back to the the people being wooed by musicians all around the world and being cold called, and all the industry people, that God, how many emails they must get, like I can't imagine. But they only have so much time, and they only have so many resources, and I bet they have families, and they've got their own goals. So to take on someone else's project that they haven't even met yet, every time someone was just like, oh, you're one person away from making it, I'm like, I don't know what that means. I just don't think that's the case anymore. Like, I know that happens to some people, but I'd much rather just build this all slowly from the ground up in the right way for me to be able to continue to do it for the next 50 years.
To sustain it, yeah.
Yeah, but that took me a long time to learn that. Like, it took me till I was 27, really, to figure that out.
Yeah, it's like it is. It's something you just have to learn by doing it, isn't it? And I was going to say as well, like adding to your point of like build stuff up slowly, I think that the pressure on some of my friends who, have exploded to like number one and stuff, some of my artist friends in London, and the pressure on them is they just constantly can only write number one hits. And I just can't imagine like how that must be quite hard.
Oh, it's impossible. It's totally impossible.
It's so hard. And also then, the fans, like, if you get the fans quickly, it's like, look at all the X Factor stuff. And, you get these fans all of a sudden overnight, but they disappear overnight as well. So if we, we can say this to ourselves anyway, if we build up our fans nice and slowly and kind of have respect and things like that, it's like a two-way thing then, isn't it? And they're just not going to disappear when you don't post a video in like a few months.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's actually the biggest problem with going viral. If you have a successful video, you have this huge spike and it's really exciting and it's great and you feel validated, perfect, by numbers, which is just hideous. You feel validated, you get an influx of people, you also get an influx of people who love what you do, influx of people who don't know who the hell you are and hate everything you do. And then it drops back down and then you reach a lull. So like, yeah, of course your video is not going to be viral every week. It literally doesn't happen for everyone. Obviously, there are some people who are way more consistent with their numbers than others because of their huge subscriberships, and which they've built over years and years and years. So I think the same for number one hit. Like I can't, and also you don't own the audience that kind of gets you that hit. So it's gone through all these different music platforms. You don't have their contact details. I know that sounds weird. I don't want to necessarily have my fans' contact details, but I want to be able to reach them again. And the best thing about social media or like emailing lists, like at least you can hit them each time when you've got something new to offer. And if you're just not in charge of your own audience, like going via radio, it's just impossible. You know, it is press. It's good to be on the radio. It's good to be in media in general that isn't your audience and expose you to new people. But at the same time, I think musicians are learning every day that it's just like, if you have something, even if you have 100 real fans, that's better than 10,000 fake Facebook likes. Obviously, like 100 people can really, really help you do what you do best. And that's what I see through Patreon. If I have so many YouTube subscribers, but then I have 300 beautiful people on Patreon who actually support me through thick and thin, that's way more important to me than ever having a viral hit ever again. It's just like, so I can't imagine the turmoil that those artists must go through. I really can't.
It's just, I think you've got to be a certain type of person. Like, I mean, you know, we have to be quite resilient, like, of course, but it's like, wow, you just got to be, oh God, I don't know. I think you're just, you know, and I think, yeah, it's sort of, when you look back, isn't it, on what, like, I feel like I try to do this anyway, because I think one of the major things about being able to be like sustainable and as you know, mentally is like just being happy. And it's like what we just said, if you can't be happy in this work that you're doing, then you just cannot continue. But oh yeah, I've forgotten what I was going to say now. But yeah, no, it's tough. But you know, like you said with the Patreon thing, like I think I don't know how many I've got now, maybe 130 odd or something, but they are all amazing. Like the relationship I have with them is so nice, you know? So yeah, it's like, yeah, little and often is good.
Yeah, I also just don't know what people want nowadays, because like I think the whole, hopefully the illusion of making it is also disappearing too, because even when you have something really successful happen to you, you kind of have to you want to keep working afterwards. So, you know, you have to have some purpose to your day. And that's why, because I used to think like, oh, if you're a millionaire or a billionaire, why do these people like, why do they keep working? Why do they keep... I'm really into boxing, and they earn so much money. Obviously, in the big leagues, those guys earn so much money for their fights. I'm like, how do they drive themselves to go for the next fight when they've just earned $17 or $100 million on something? And it's like, oh, because it's not about the money, and they obviously that's like definitely a benefit of their success, but really they're just so into the daily grind of what they do. And so you have to be obsessed, and you have to be obsessed in the avenue that you want, not what someone else wants for you.
Yeah, 100%, babes. That's it. You do have to be obsessed with it. You can't just be like, oh, I want to try this, like an impulse thing or whatever. Because it's...
And also it still doesn't come easy. Like all the work, I love making videos. I know you love you're obsessed with producing music, but like there are still those times where it's just like, do I have to do this today? Or how do I make this the quality that I want to deliver? And it's just like that sick feeling sometimes that you get where you're just like, I'm meant to be good at this, and this sounds and looks awful, because it's not fitting your taste, you know? So how do you overcome those sorts of steps as well in your creative process?
Well, first things first, I 100% get them. And yeah, and they can range, the producer sulks, from kind of like losing my shit and like going downstairs and like just escaping the studio and hiding under my quilt sometimes if it gets that bad. I'm not joking, because like I think it goes with that being obsessed with it. It's such an emotional thing. Like when I hit a block creatively, I just cannot cope. I'm like, I have to fix this. It's like the world's over. But I try to be a little, the more I've been producing, I try to be a little less hard on myself. And what I've realised is I need time to warm up. So if it's like not sounding good straight away, I'm like, okay, hang on, don't give up. So I always try to like push, even when I really don't want to. And I'm like, oh, it's rubbish, it sounds rubbish. Just have like another push through, consciously be like, no, don't give up now. Just go on, just see if you can. And then usually once you've kind of got over that, you've become so focused on trying to push through it that you've forgotten the bad mood. And then before you know it, 5 hours later, you have managed to make something good. So as I've got a bit more mature producing, I try to just respect. And sometimes if it's not working, I just try to be not hard on myself. Like, oh, you know what? It's not quite working out today. Like, you know, which to be fair is rare. Like but I will say I need to set myself up for it. Like I can't, it's not the same, you know, like when I'm editing a little bit of social media content or something, I can like jump into that. Whereas with producing, I don't know, I'm not very good at just jumping in. I need to make sure I've got like, you know, at least 5 hours of time. So actually lately I have been a bit behind on my production deadlines purely because I've had loads of little jobs to do, and it's because I can't just plonk a little, make this track sound amazing in 1 hour, you know? So, but yeah, it's tricky. I do read a lot of like, you know, all the like, not positivity books, but books that just help me put things into perspective. Like there's a book I love called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Beep. Yeah, but that book is incredible because that just like puts things into perspective for me a lot.
I haven't read that. Who's it by again?
Oh, it's amazing. Mark someone, and he touches on what we were just talking about then, actually, about how, what's it called? Like the best thing we can do in life is find problems that we like to solve, which is basically, you know, me making music and, you know, making little vids and you making videos, things like that, you know. But that book's awesome. But yeah, so I do.
Mark Manson.
That's it. I do
Mark
really. I love those types of books, you know, they just make me a bit more self-aware of like how I'm emotionally reacting to things. And because emotions are huge, you know, if you can just be aware of your emotions and be like, oh God, like, whoa, girl, you need to chill out, then it helps you just to be like, oh, okay. But yeah, I definitely obviously hit hurdles. But yeah, but over the years, you know, I just think, oh, you can't give up. I'm a bit like you, babe, in the way that I just need stuff to get done. So as much as I'll sulk about something, I'll be like, well, it needs to be finished, so just get on with it, you know?
Yeah. I think we definitely bonded over that when we first met and started to get to know each other, because you just have to overcome those obstacles, otherwise you don't get anything finished and you don't improve. But that's interesting. I'm going to buy that on Amazon.
Oh no, it's a really good book. Highly recommend.
I'm obsessed with Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, because it's kind of like a similar thing where there's a beautiful quote that it's actually inspired a whole video that I haven't quite finished yet. It's going to be a bit more of like a sort of video essay, sort of with, I don't know, drone footage and stuff. Like, it's just like a silly idea I've got for a video, but she basically just talks about all the different hurdles you go through, about other people's opinions on you, and how when they're judging you, you just literally have to turn around to them and say, go make your own effing art or whatever. And because those people who are criticizing you aren't doing it themselves, and that's why they're giving you that grief, because they're not busy enough. They're not obsessed with something so much that they're actually like spending their time doing it. So they're just taking their insecurities out on someone who's actually doing it. But I've had quite a good run of really not giving not putting any effort into people that just don't like what I do, because I'm just like, well, it's fine. I've got people that do like what I do, and also I need to like what I do. So
yeah, you're
that's
really
fine.
good at that. Actually,
I am really good, but I will admit I've been a little bit I've let some things get to me recently that I had to sort of like reevaluate. I was like, wait, what's happened? and I just realized it's like everything. It's like, okay, it's gonna ebb and flow. Sometimes you're gonna be really, really strong, and you're gonna be able just to get out of bed every morning, have this drive, and just go for it, and not give any not let anyone have any impact on you, because you're just like, I'm doing the work, I'm putting in the work. But then sometimes it's still going to get to you, and it's just going to be like one tiny little thing. And it might even be from your peers. So for me, it was something from, I'm not going to go into details, but it was from people that I know. And that's definitely where I struggle most. And I feel like those guys know it, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, I'll just keep on doing what I do. You guys keep on doing what you do. Let's, and it's not through actual conversation. It's all through social media stuff. And it just feels a bit, it's just, there's a lot of faceless mind games, if that makes sense. Like, sort of like, oh, this isn't actually directed towards you, but it's kind of directed towards you. So all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think forgiving myself that I'm not always going to be the strongest person in the room when it comes to that. Because like usually I am, and usually I try and motivate other people to be like, hey guys, we're doing it.
Yeah. When we've been crying to you before, you're just like, come on girls, no one's going to finish that video for you.
Yeah, well, I love our little our WhatsApp group, but we need to get back on that with the girls. But
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, no, and I do take pride in, like, you know, even if I'm having a bad day and someone comes, you know, it's having a worse day or something, I feel like I can motivate myself and then hopefully motivate someone else just by like being like, come on, stiff upper lip, like.
Oh, definitely. See, I've noticed that, right? So one of my friends who I actually work with as well was going through a really tough time. And I found myself quite a lot sort of kind of, you know, helping them to get through it. And it was weird. Like the next day, I would always be a bit like, right, da-da-da. And then I realized, wow, when you're helping other people, you're actually like subconsciously coaching yourself.
Yeah. Oh, it's totally selfish. It's totally selfish because you benefit from it too, definitely.
I have only noticed it recently. I've been like, wow, I actually realized that when I'm trying to help my mates out, I'm like kicking my own butt. Yeah.
The whole motivation thing, when it comes to inspiring other people, it does rub off on you. But at the same time, you actually have to remind yourself when you're talking to these other people, you're like, why am I not giving myself these words of encouragement every day? Why am I not talking to myself like I talk to my good friends? And as soon as you realize that, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be a lot easier on myself. Because as soon as you see someone struggling and they're like, oh, I'm just a piece of, and you know, oh, everything I do is rubbish, you kind of say to them, you're like, are you serious? Because like everything you do to me looks incredible. And like, yeah, you might be going through a thing and you might be worrying about it and how it's going to be perceived and everything, but actually it's just extraordinary. And I have no idea how you come up with that. And as soon as you say that to someone, you have to think like, maybe they're thinking that about you, or someone who lives 1,000 miles away from you, or however many, in different living circumstances or whatever. And they're seeing what you create and they're just like, oh my God, that's so inspirational. I've never thought about it that way. I've never seen someone do it that way. Or I've never seen the thing that I'm really excited about us, you know, making these YouTube videos is like, there might be someone that looks like us, but is 10 years younger and lives 5,000 miles away around the other side of the world or whatever. And they'll just see us doing it and they'll be like, I can do that too. Cool.
Yeah. I think there's probably a lot of people, Mary, watching you thinking the same. So, but it's, no, that's definitely so true. The other day, right, I was getting ready to go out somewhere. And I remember I was just having one of those off days, you know, and I was like, I redid my makeup, my hair looked awful, I hated my outfit. And I felt like I was like, I think I'd been like working all day and I was rushing and I was just like, I can't go out. And like, yeah, my boyfriend actually said to me, like, think about how you talk to your mates when they tell you things like this. And I literally was like, oh yeah. And then I did it. And then I was like, get a grip, come on. And then, yeah. And then I was like, wow, that actually really worked. So yeah, we should probably talk to ourselves a bit nicer. But I guess, yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of what human nature, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah, definitely. And again, you're going to have really strong days, and again, you're just not, and you just have to kind of put things in place so you recognize it and you recognize what's happening, and just so you don't fall as hard as you initially did maybe the first time it happened. And you might just and the thing I've learned a lot from this guy I follow called Gary Vaynerchuk, who's incredibly famous, and you know he's a bit of a fast talker for some, but I've always loved exactly how he gets things across, and he's just got he doesn't take anything from he doesn't take any excuses from anybody. But what he does teach is the level. He teaches like a level reaction to things. When things are really good, just keep calm. When things are really bad, keep calm, and it's like, just stay level. So when things are really, really great, just remember that they might not be. So obviously appreciate it, but don't feel like, oh, this is it. This is what it's going to be like for the rest of my life, because it's not going to be. And it's gonna lull again. And it's the same thing, obviously before we hit record, it's talking about the YouTube algorithm and everything and it not being in someone's favor or whatever. But it's like, yeah, it ebbs and flows just like everything. And sometimes people are going to watch your videos and sometimes they're not. And sometimes they've got time for it. Sometimes they don't. And it's just like, keep calm, just keep uploading. And that's the same for making music. It's like, just don't, you'll have one song that you didn't even really spend that much time on do incredibly well. So you expect every song to do incredibly well after that, but actually you just have to remember, you're like, no, the one I spend way more time on, I'm way more passionate about, might not reach as many people, and that's okay.
And then you just think, well, all the enjoyment I had in the process, that's why they say, well, I tried to think about that as well, just like always emphasize the enjoyment in the process, isn't it? Because that only happens once, and less about it being the expectation of like when you put it out into the world.
Yeah, be alone with the work. Definitely. And I've had to I don't think I even retaught myself how to do that. I had to teach myself how to do that, and I only taught myself how to do that recently. Like where I had to sit down and, talking about you producing and you needing 5 hours. Like if I'm making a big video, I need a lot of time to be able to make that video. And it's the illusion that I give myself that I can get through editing really quickly, and it's like, no, that takes a really long time, if not longer than all the filming process. So you're gonna have to enjoy editing, because you're going to be spending a lot of time editing. So just sit there, work on the first. I always like getting the intro done. And then once the intro's, once you've got that look, like even if I haven't finished filming the rest of the video, if I have the intro and I have the look and I have the feel for the video, then it all happens quite easily after that. Not necessarily quickly, but definitely happens easier. And it's just like,
you know the path, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you've been here before. You've edited a video before. There's a reason, you've started doing this. You love making YouTube videos. This is me talking to myself, but it's like, okay, all right. How do we go about this? And the thing I loved about your cassette story was my equivalent was, because obviously we didn't have any recording gear, and none of my family are music producers in any, or not musicians. They're music lovers, but just not musicians. And my dad had a camcorder, and the only way I could really figure out how to produce music, in the most basic form, was to record video with the audio, using the microphone on the camera, put that into Windows Movie Maker, and then layer it that way and just delete the video. And so I actually have these awful I mean, I think most of them have gone too, but I have found a few, like me covering Katie Tunstall or whatever, in my bedroom with all my posters on my lilac painted walls. And oh god, it's so terrible though. But like the audio's not bad, and I mean it's bad in comparison to what you can get out of an iPhone now. But like it was fine, and it wasn't too hissy, it wasn't too crackly, and that's how I would demo new songs. So I'd film them. So I was like, when I realized that recently, I was like, oh my God, I was making YouTube videos before YouTube was even like a possibility to me. But without ever really finishing the video, I'd just take the audio and then use that as like a record of the song. Have you, sorry. Oh, I was just going to say, have you ever thought about getting a cassette player and making a video about how you used to do it?
Oh my God, no, I haven't.
You have to make that video. You have to make that video. It'd be so sweet.
Yeah, that would be sweet. It's funny you say about making videos though as well, because I always used to make videos too. My dad had like, he was into gadgets, you know. He used to have and I always used to steal them and just make like home movies. And I remember I used to edit his holiday videos. This was when I was like, had, you know, discovered Mac and used iMovie. So it's like but then, you know, when it was like even like, was it like 6 months ago, and it was like, oh, let's make some more videos. It's kind of always been a bit in me, you know. It's just a creative thing, isn't it? Just like you're like creating a story basically. So, you know, and if it's not always with music that you're creating a story, you can do it with video. It's nice to switch it up. And as it goes, I've been drawing loads. I've been drawing in isolation, as we say. I've invested in loads of alcohol pens. If you look at my Instagram story, I'm getting a bit obsessed. But yeah, I'll have to send you some of my pictures. They're terrible, but I sit there for hours, and that's probably why I'm not doing any work, because I'm drawing.
But that's incredible. I need to check them out right now. I want to see them.
Well, I haven't actually put any like up because I'm too embarrassed.
I can see the pens. So
you can see the pens.
Alcohol pens. I've never heard of those. What are they?
Yeah, alcohol pens. So they're basically like, I mean, they're like markers.
Okay.
Hang on, shall I hold some up to the camera? I've got some on the wall. There's this artist, right? Okay, my audio will go if I stand up on it. There's this artist called Salistration on Instagram. And I found her art and I just love it, basically. And she just makes me want to draw. So yeah, shout out to Salistration. So I basically sit there and copy her pictures from Instagram with my alcohol pens. So
I think that's escapism though, isn't it? Like in the, you know, you're so creative, but when your like main initial creative outlet becomes your work, you kind of have to find something else creative.
I'm going to show the camera now. So this is she posted this picture last night on Instagram. So I just drew it. And then, and this one I think is another one on her thing. But yeah, I've been loving it. And you know, like Cuckoo, he is an amazing animator as well. So, and it's weird actually, because before I found the tape player, I used to spend like my whole childhood drawing. So, but yeah, again, it's the same, isn't it? It's like creating stories, either with pictures or videos or...
Did you ever subscribe to an art magazine? I can't remember what it was called.
I do remember the one.
Do you remember actually subscribing to magazines and like going to a little newsagent and getting them? Did you ever do that? I did.
I don't know if I did.
I did
I do remember my friends having those magazines, like Shout and that, innit?
Well, so yeah, there were those ones, but then there were like kind of like series of magazines. So how to use a computer when computers were just starting, to be accessible and stuff. And then like I definitely had a drawing magazine that I subscribed to, and it was £1.50 a week or something. So that was my pocket money, would go on this magazine, and I'd then have binders of magazines. And I've just had a flashback, but I was subscribed to an art one, and
I did a painting once, and I was terrible. I was terrible. But my best friend when I was growing up, her father was a very successful artist, and so he really pushed her to do art. And so every time I'd go over to her house, like he'd have paints available and, you know, like cool stuff, and we'd do little paintings together. And I've just had a massive flashback. I haven't done this in 20 years, but
wow, get the paints out, Mary. We can have a painting day.
Yeah, I mean, I would try it. I would be terrified of how bad it would be.
Oh my god, it's so funny, isn't it? I actually really like doing art. Like there's the album that I created for the YouTube audio library. I called it Pili Pala Beach, which Pili Pala is butterfly in Welsh. And yeah, it's a cute word, isn't it? And, you know, I've got my tattoo on my left wrist, the butterfly, which is in memory of Cerys as well. So loads of little things are like kind of related to that. But the artwork, I'll have to send you a photo. It's a photo of me in the studio, and I sort of put it through some kind of, you know, like filters and things like that. And then I zoomed in on the photo, and with like the iPad pen, you know, those Apple pens you can get, I just drew these like little butterflies all around my studio. I'll have to send you. It took me ages, but I loved it. It was fun.
Oh, that's I think that's a great idea, and I'm lacking in having something like that where it's like pure
escapism.
Yeah, well, I've definitely have found exercise to be that.
Oh yeah, you're really good at that.
Well,
yeah.
Only in the last year. I've been chubby and unhealthy for 28 years of my life, and now only finally I'm just figuring it all out. So yeah, I definitely I'm trying to use guitar practice as a bit of a hobby rather than trying to get back into that.
Do you find much time to practice guitar, babe?
I have to forgive myself when I don't have time, and I just have to I just have to let some weeks go where I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to practice intensively. I might play, but I won't do what I need to do to become better. So I'm trying to, you know, this whole isolation thing is definitely bringing up, I imagine quite a lot of people are experiencing their sort of like inner demons of like what they want to achieve and what they need to make more time for, because they're being forced to reckon with that now. Because, you know, I think there's going to be an influx of lots of people suddenly doing things and showing people on social media, because that's going to be the only way to communicate it. But then there might almost be people who are getting, I don't know, having a block when they're like, oh my God, I have all this time, but what do I even do with it? How do I become creative, or how do I start a YouTube channel, or how do I start my music career, or something like that? So I feel for them.
Yeah, starting out now. I mean, like, I feel like it will help people who kind of maybe were a bit lost in life to be like, oh, okay. Or, you know, people, you know, even like a couple of my friends who are just still a bit stuck on what they want to do, you know, hopefully they'll get so bored that they'll be like, right, okay, what do I actually like doing? It might help to realize those things, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like put pen to paper, all those crazy ideas you have, like, because, you know, I've definitely got friends like that. I used to be like that until someone literally sat me down and said, what do you actually want to do? And until a mentor of mine he said, he was like, stop all these crazy business ideas, like, don't you just want to be a musician? And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh yeah, no, yeah, you're right. I guess I should probably just focus on that thing. But it's about confronting like exactly all those crazy ideas, all those things you're kind of good at, but you haven't ever fully committed to. So you're not, you know, 10,000 hours in yet. You have to like go, am I going to achieve that this year? Do I need to write it on a list somewhere that it's not for now? Maybe it's for maybe in a year's time, maybe in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. Like for me, my whole thing that I keep talking about is learning Spanish. And I'm just like, I could chip away at that. I kind of want to just go all in, but I don't have the time to go all in. So for the next,
and you need to go to Spain for a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise you'll just end up forgetting it. So I need I need to give myself that time, but I'm not going to give myself that time for 6 months to a year, and then I'm going to reevaluate and see whether or not I can manage it. But it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, I should probably just be chipping away in the meantime, so I probably need to have a word with myself.
Have a little word, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Should we move on to my prepared questions for you?
Oh, yes.
Because I'm aware of time.
Sure.
Okay. Which album or artist have you recommended to your friends and family the most?
Oh, the most ever.
It can be in the last
Wow.
year, or just something you're obsessed with right now that you just keep telling everyone about.
I really love Toki Monster. She's like super cool. I think she's like Korean born but LA based music producer. And she's got this album called, I think it's Luna Rouge, and she's like, it's electronic, but it's not like, slamming beats. It's just really like texturally, is that a word?
Yeah, I think so.
Texturally nice, and it's kind of she's produced it, and it's just really rich, and there's a remix album as well, so I 100% go and check that record out. I really love that record. It's awesome. But otherwise, I love the Jamie XX record in colour. I basically love music that's way cooler than mine and a lot more chilled out, which is kind of weird, but yeah.
I'd say the same thing for me. Everything I like is way cooler, but that's why I like your music, babe.
Thanks, Mary.
If you could have a drink with any musician, dead or alive, who would it be, and what would you ask them?
Probably Michael Jackson. I know that's cliche, but I literally loved him when I was a teenager. I was obsessed with the Bad record. That was just awesome. And what would I ask him? Okay, that is another question. I would love to go on some of the rides in his house. That would be cool.
Is this not going down a dangerous avenue?
Maybe. What would I ask him? Maybe I'd ask him how to do the moonwalk.
Okay, yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
There we go. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't go there. Just remember, there's this whole thing, isn't there, of like whether to just be, you like them for the music. Just think about it like that.
Yeah, I know. Otherwise, like,
but God, yeah.
A lot of the music. What's the word? Like repertoire would be gone.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. Hopefully we're not gonna have to have those kind of realizations in future. I'm just
hopefully it'll be none of us.
Oh my God. I'm going to keep all this
obviously.
in as well. I'm not editing any of this out. This is too funny, and it's hopefully people will resonate with it too. Or it's like can you like an artist when obviously Anyway, okay. Moving swiftly on. Tell me about your favorite piece of either tech in general, so it doesn't actually have to be musical, or piece of music gear and the story behind it.
Oh, come on. That one's probably obvious, is it?
Go on.
So, of course, I would have to pick Ableton Live, just because I feel like this program has helped me to express myself musically in a way that no other program ever has. And besides that, I've spent if Ableton was a person, is the person that I've definitely spent the most time with ever in my whole life. And also because they're amazing. They're an amazing company. They're really supportive of me, and I have an amazing relationship with them. And music producers and people starting out in the industry say, hey, what do I need to get going? And I just say, just get yourself a copy of Ableton and you'll be away. And that is the truth. You need a computer, Ableton. You don't even need headphones. It'd be good if you had them. But yeah.
It's because of Ableton that we met.
Yeah, of course. Like all the good stuff in my life is related to that. And I just feel I don't know. Like my friend Billy just had a Ableton tattoo.
Really?
Yeah. He was like, "Hey, Rach, check it out." I was like, "Whoa!" I don't know if I would do that, but I do definitely feel like very strong about it, and so I would 100% say that. I've got obviously loads of synths, but my synths are amazing. I love them all. But, you can only go so far with the synth. You need to then put it down. I know there's loads of other music producers who totally don't like vibe on the DAW thing. It just makes everything easier. And I perform live with it, Mary, it's not even just for producing. I build my live shows with it. I've even worked a bit building live shows for others with it. I've built my whole Patreon up over it, just helping other people use it. I'm just kind of grateful, and and I'm happy as well. I still have like a positive relationship with using it, which has been over 10 years now, so yeah.
No, that's incredible. And I've started having a go at it because of you, and it is exciting, and it's I don't know, for me it's kind of like going back to the whole limitations thing. For me, if I'm my knowledge is not, I don't know where certain things are, so just having to work with what I know is just quite exciting, and figuring that all out. So I'm just,
well, we should do a sesh, babe, and I'll show you.
Most definitely.
Yeah, because it's quite overwhelming at the beginning, because it's kind of different, not the same layout, but I think it's really important to, if you like, when you first have a go, if you get really stuck, maybe go and find some vids that really inspire you, because I know that people who come from other DAWs can find it a bit intimidating. But if you can be like, oh no, it's cool, because once you get into it, it's not difficult, Sorry, true passionate person about that.
If you could give your younger self a word of musical advice, what would it be?
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Okay, a bit of musical advice. I would have liked to have, dived in a little bit more with some of the jazzy stuff, like the modes and stuff like this. Now I'm just like, nah, because I never want to put that into my music, but I wish that as I would have kind of learned a bit more about that when I was studying in college. But hang on, give my younger self some musical advice. Oh gosh, I don't know, babes. There's a few things I wish I would have learned, which I'm not going to learn now because I'm too caught up in everything else I'm doing. But yeah, I guess I would just say, just be fearless and dive in, and kind of never fear a piece of gear.
Never fear a piece of gear. Yeah, that's good advice. That's something I need to take.
And never fear a piece of gear. You can always make it work somehow.
Yeah, and actually, if you, the best thing about it is that if you don't have the expertise on something, you don't have, if you don't have the traditional form of education on something, it might free you up to discover something even better. Like, that's definitely how I have applied my learning to the guitar, because I was self-taught on it, but I was learning different kinds of music. But, so never fear a piece of gear. That's beautiful.
And also, oh, thanks, babes. And guitar, that is something I have had so many periods in my life. I pick it up, right? And I go for it for a bit. 6 months. By the end of 6 months, I can get pretty good. And then, boom, forget it all. And then I'm back to square one 18 months later. The other day, I deleted it actually from my Instagram because it was a bit embarrassing. I think I might have even tagged you in it. I was playing Nirvana. Dun, 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 dun. But terrible, absolutely terrible. My fingers were killing me. I think I play the chord, I think I've been playing it for 15 minutes, the guitar, and my fingers were on fire. I was just like, how the hell do you lot do it? But
it still hurts.
Yeah.
Sometimes it still hurts. I was practicing with a new instrument the other day, and I don't know why, because the strings were brand new, so it was fine. But I was having to play throughout the day to get some filming done, and my fingers were just blistered at the end of it. And I was like, haven't I done enough to warrant not having this pain? And they were still raw the next day. But then they harden up. It's great.
Wow. You're like, oh, come on. It's probably a bit of a kick up the butt. You're like, oh, no, I think I need to practice more.
Yeah, actually, do you know what? That's what I'm going to do after this interview. I'm going to go and do my hour of guitar practice that I'm trying to do. I was meant to do it every day this week and I've already failed. So, but never fear a piece of gear. That's great. That's cool.
Never fear a piece of gear. And also I would say to my younger self, learn the guitar and don't give up ever.
Well, there's still time, Rachel. You could take my beginner guitar course if you want.
Oh my God. I so should. Oh my God. I think I will.
So, you know what? We'll talk about that. But let's.
Oh my God. I think I will.
I
think I'm going to do it.
All right. Well, let's wrap up this interview. Thank you so much.
Oh no, thanks, babe. I feel like we had a night out on this
interview. I know. We
like
should
loads of chats.
We should have had a few gin and tonics or whatever. But when we're all out of this craziness, you and I will definitely collaborate. We'll do a video. You'll teach me something on Ableton, and yeah, we'll just get creating.
Oh, thank you so much, Mary.
As soon as we are out of this lockdown, Rachel and I will most definitely be collaborating more. Check out her music and videos, and I just hope you enjoyed our conversation as much as I did. Now for information on the sponsor of this entire series. More than 250,000 artists rely on DistroKid to distribute their music, including myself. If you're wanting to have your music available on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music and Tidal, amongst many more stores, then you should sign up using the link in the description. An account starts at just $19.99 for unlimited songs and albums in 12 months, and with the link in the description, you'll get 7% off your first year. If you are writing and producing music right now, then I cannot recommend DistroKid enough. It's so easy to use. So a massive thank you to them for making this series possible, and check out the link in the description for that 7% discount. But otherwise, I'll see you next week.